What's good, Internet? My name is attackslug, and welcome back. It's day 2 of my 2019 Game of the Year videos. This video focusing on physical media, games in boxes. I still buy them, I still collect them. Hey, all digital future from my cold dead hands. Anyhow, my top 10 for this year. Let's get to it. Let's go. Starting at number 10 with dangerous driving, because if I'm driving in a video game, it damn sure better be dangerous, a spiritual successor to my all-time favorite arcade racing games, Burnout 2 and Burnout 3. I don't need realism when I want to play a racing game. I want to go really fast, and I want to smash up cars, and granted, this is a kind of pared down version of that vision of the Burnout 2-3 game, because it does not have a crash mode. However, this studio made Danger Zone 1 and 2, which is that crash mode from those games. So maybe at some point they are given a larger budget to make a giant complete package, but until then, dangerous driving is that old school feel that I love for arcade racers, and man, I wish they made more of these. And speaking of games that are like other games, number 9 is The Outer Worlds, which says, hey, do you like those Bethesda RPGs? Did you like Fallout 3, Fallout 4, but especially Fallout New Vegas? Guess what? We've got that for you. It's on a bit of a smaller scale, but it's way more polished than any Bethesda game can ever hope to be. It is a brand new RPG from Obsidian in that same exact style as those Fallout games, and I love that. And in true Obsidian style, the writing here is the star of the show. Even the flavor text is absolutely phenomenal. You've got varying playstyles. Do you want to be a smart scientist with a shrink ray? Do you want to be a big dumb guy with a hammer? You can do all that in The Outer Worlds. It does not break any new ground in the genre, but honestly, I don't think it needs to. It is like a comfortable pair of shoes to slip into and have a great time. Number 8 is Luigis Mansion 3, which seems to have finally fulfilled the promise and the premise of Luigi's Mansion. That first game on the short side, because it was a GameCube launch game, kind of tech demo-ish, right? That second game on the 3DS was more, but it was more in a bad way. It felt overly long and bloated because you were doing the same thing over and over again. This game brings the variety. They've heard your criticisms. Now I know what you're saying. This is a hotel, which is technically not a mansion. Semantics. This is perhaps the most charming game I've played all year. It does not overstay its welcome. It continually changes up the formula floor to floor to floor. And my only real complaint is that they have a couple of control schemes and they're all a little bit awkward to what you want to do with Luigi. But besides that, it's fantastic. I could not have asked for a better sequel in this franchise, and if they wanted to stop here, that'd be a fine high note to go out on. Number 7 is Control, the new game from Remedy, and here they've built upon that gameplay they introduced with Quantum Break. They have refined it quite a bit, but it is free of that structure they were stuck with in Quantum Break, where it was half a TV show and half a video game. And once again, Remedy excelling at what they do best, and that is the world building. Being in the oldest house, being in charge of the Federal Bureau of Control, having the signs in the world actually work like signs are supposed to work in a real building. All the supernatural oddities, the otherworldly stuff, the fake TV show stuff they always do in their games. It was all just an amazing package that came together and fulfilled the promise of what this studio is capable of. A little bit of Twin Peaks, a little bit of X-Files, and shooting a lot of weird things in the face. That's Control. And speaking of shooting weird things in the face, number 6 is Resident Evil 2. How do you remake an absolute all-time classic and knock it out of the park? Capcom has done just that once again. There was a very high bar here, but this is an absolute masterclass in how to take a beloved franchise game and update it for the modern day. And Capcom has been on a roll the past couple of years, so I hope the recently announced Resident Evil 3 remake, supposedly being made at the same time as the Resident Evil 2 remake, will be just as good and continue that high bar for taking an all-time classic and making it modern and fresh, but still retaining that core essence of what made the game great in the first place. Although I do have to wonder, Capcom, where is Resident Evil 8 and will it be in VR? Please, I needs it. Number 5 is Super Mario Maker 2, and it's not higher on this list for a couple of reasons. Number 1, it's more Mario Maker, which, to be fair, is what I've been asking for a couple of years now. I would have taken a port of the Wii U game, like a lot of Wii U games get ports on the Switch, but no, thankfully, they gave us a brand new Mario Maker. However, I do have to wonder, did this go far enough in a fresh direction? Because it feels like, unlike that first game, the updates are not coming as fast as they were in that first game. There are still things that I want to see. Where is Charge and Chuck? Where is a Mario 2 tile set? They've proven they can have different tile sets that don't interact with the main game, like Mario 3D World, so where is Mario 2? And also, just making stages in this game is not as fun or as intuitive as it was on the Wii U, because the Wii U gamepad made that such a joy to play, and that is the only time I will ever say something on the Wii U was better than what came afterwards. But it's just facts, man. If you gave the Switch support for the Wii U gamepad just for this one game, I would love that, but I somehow doubt they're ever going to do that. But, again, it's more Mario Maker, so I can't complain too much. It's still more stages than I'll ever play in my lifetime, and I love Mario, so, you know, it's a me. Getting back to the arcade racing, number 4 is Wreckfest, which is the exact kind of arcadey racing destruction derby style I've been waiting for I don't know how many years. It is the best car destruction since Beam NG.Drive on the PC. It is the most I've played of any racing game in the past probably 5 or 10 years. There is an amazing variety of vehicles to destroy. You got big rigs, you got buses, limos, cars, trucks. If you want to do a destruction derby in a lawnmower, they got your back. Toss in a bunch of crazy stages that all encourage destruction, and you've got an amazing package here in Wreckfest. It is, without a doubt, the most fun I've had getting T-boned all year. Number 3 is Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, and at a certain point you have to start wondering just how much more difficult can From Software make these games. This is a genre they invented, and a genre they continue to perfect and craft and evolve, and a genre that a lot of companies have been copying, but nobody does it quite like From Software. And perhaps you're saying, hey man, just get good. And yeah, sure, fair. But at what point is the difficulty so high it starts to impact the sales of the game? Either way, I bought a game from Activision this year. That's absolutely crazy for me. And yes, if you know what Demon's Souls, Dark Souls, and Bloodborne are, this is pretty much in line with what you expect from this genre of game. But again, the bar of quality is just so high, it's going to be high on my list just about every year. Next year, Elden Ring? We'll see. Number 2 is Judgement, because it would not be a top 10 list for Attack Slug without a game from the Yakuza team on that list somewhere. This is a spin-off, right? So it has a new story, new characters, but it's the same old Kamurocho. They have continued to craft a game that is bursting at the seams with content in this compact city. It is a game that can be serious, it is a game that can be funny, it is the most video game, and I just can't go through a Game of the Year top 10 without mentioning at least one game from this team because they are so prolific. But with the release of this game, that means us here in America are now caught up with every other released mainline game and this spin-off. And so if you're asking yourself, man, I wonder if Yakuza 7 will be on a top 10 list because that game comes out in 2020, I'd say that's a pretty safe bet. But until then, pick up Judgement, punch some dudes, play some pinball, do some gambling, fly a drone, hit up the old batting cages, whatever you do, play Judgement. And coming in at number 1 is AI, the Somnium Files. It is the glorious return of Kotaro Uchikoshi after 3 years of waiting. since Zero Time Dilemma, the final game in the Zero Escape series. And wouldn't you know it, not having to worry about 2 prior games of lore and story. This is an absolute return to form. If you were disappointed by the ending of Zero Time Dilemma, I get it. But seriously, pick up AI, the Somnium Files. It is easily the best visual novel I've played this year. It has a weird mechanic for the gameplay portion, where you only have 6 minutes to accomplish these puzzles, but then time moves when you move, like super hot sort of. But when you do actions, then time passes in giant increments, and it's neat. You are a detective with an artificial intelligence living in your mechanical eyeball, trying to solve a mystery involving an ever-expanding hunt for a serial killer. And it's honestly, like most visual novels, hard to discuss the ins and outs of the plot and what makes it so great. But everything wraps up quite nicely here. It has an incredibly satisfying conclusion to its story. It is a thoroughly entertaining ride all throughout. Plenty of twists and turns you will never see coming, pun intended. And in a year with a lot of crazy video game stories, perhaps one of the craziest video game stories of the year. And that was my top 10 for physical media. The mind never lies. AI, the Somnium Files, at number 1. Tomorrow, the last video, number 3, will be all the games that did not quite make it on these top 10 lists, plus some bonus categories. Tune in for that. I'm attackslug. See you then, see you next time, and see you here on this channel just about every day. And I'm out.